Now let's get to our call of the day, or really a collection of calls, as vaccine companies are feeling the pressure today. It's coming after President-elect Donald Trump saying that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is his pick to lead the U.S. Health and Human Services Department. For more, we're bringing in Yahoo Finance senior health reporter Anjali Kamlani. Now, these stocks have been falling because, of course, RFK Jr. is a noted vaccine skeptic, but analysts are weighing in and saying, like, what is this really going to look like?
Yeah, what we're hearing from analysts is really a wait and see sort of strategy. We don't know what the policies yet are. We do know what RFK's stance has been in the past. He was notoriously dubbed one of the disinformation dozen during the COVID-19 pandemic, when he was identified as one of 12 people contributing to about 65% of misinformation on vaccines. He is one of those who is identified as linking vaccines to autism, which a large portion of the scientific community has pushed back on. And so what we're seeing is, he has some ideas. He's also pulled back from some of those comments in recent interviews, saying he's not going to take vaccines away, if you will, but still believes that there is some level of unsafety or maybe some issues with the FDA and the regulatory process for approval. So that's where, everyone's taking a step back and saying, let's see what he actually has to say. We heard from JP analyst Chris Schott, who said it is difficult to evaluate the exact impact this appointment could have on the industry until we have more information on specific policy proposals. That said, we're not surprised that the sector has been under pressure given RFK Jr.'s stance. And of course, we've heard from others like Zeke Emanuel, who is a noted healthcare expert. He served on President Joe Biden's transition COVID-19 team. He said earlier today that while RFK Jr. has no management experience nor, understanding of how science is done, he does have some good ideas. And this is also something that we've heard from other members of potentially, picks for President-elect Trump's administration. That includes ideas about chronic disease as well as ultra-processed foods and the need for oversight in those areas. So people are saying, well, maybe they have some good ideas, or at least have identified correct problems. Have to see what the solutions are that they present. Of course, RFK Jr., notably part of the very storied political family in the country. We've seen some of his family members push back against him and his ideas. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out and what actually happens. There are some folks saying that a little bit of the reaction that we saw on Wall Street is an overreaction, and just to sit tight until we know more.
One thing, Anj, I'm still trying to understand is how much real power and authority he would have if indeed the Senate confirms him. Does he come in and say, I'm not a fan of seed oils, and there goes seed oils? Is that how it works?
He could have that level of authority because he oversees all of the departments. As part of HHS, he has oversight of the FDA, of Medicare, Medicaid, the CDC, so disease control. What his priorities are will then result in where the resources go, and that's where we don't know the answers yet. There are questions about whether or not it will even be required to go through the full Senate confirmation hearing for this appointment. There's been some discussion about that, and that's why there's so much uncertainty around this. But the power that he does have in the role of Secretary of the Health Department is quite widespread and sets the tone for what the U.S. policy is. It's also important to point out that up until now, the U.S. has really set the policy, the gold standard globally for the FDA, for the CDC, and all that could also be thrown into question with his appointment, depending on where he takes the policies. There are also some who are a little bit more cautious about the power, saying that because these agencies are so large, it will take quite a large amount of time for him to really come in like a wrecking ball, if you will. I know that term has been used a lot for the potential picks for the administration. So that's also something to keep an eye on, is these large organizations, or agencies rather, that have existed for quite a number of years. It may take some time to really do some damage there.
All right, Anj, looking forward to that confirmation hearing. That could get interesting. Anj, thank you. Have a great weekend.